So I had a different experience of Ireland than a lot of people. And when I do my work in Gorm, I get approached by a lot of leaders saying that their experience of Ireland was different to mine. They knew in Ireland when there was barely any people of colour, when discussions of diversity, inclusion, inclusivity, all this jazz wasn't the norm. And they're still trying to navigate a space where they can manage teams from different backgrounds, different cultures, different abilities, different sexualities, different. So they asked me, Mamobo, I've come from a totally different world. I don't know how to manage all of this. Well, these kind of skills don't need to be you managing it on your own. They can be learned. Hi, my name is Mamobo, founder of Gorm and social psychologist. And if you want to learn how to unify across differences and be an intercultural leader, make sure you're subscribing to our channel. So imagine you are a leader overseeing a multinational team, and the question echoing in your mind back and forth is, how do I get these individuals to collaborate in a way that we get our targets and our outcomes and our KPIs to work, and they're all so different and they all come from different backgrounds, X, Y, and Z. How do I get them to collaborate in a way that is productive, in a way that is creative, and also in a way that is safe to them? It's a challenge that's faced by a lot of leaders, particularly in Ireland, who are navigating the complex multicultural world that we're living in here in this society. And for context, in Ireland, 1 in 8 people come from, let's say, a non-national background. And that's even more complex as we look into multicultural, bicultural, dual identity backgrounds. So it's getting into a place where we kind of need leaders who can manage these cultural, ethnic, gender, abilities, all these differences in their teams. So earlier this month, I spoke at a leadership conference and I delivered a mini workshop on intercultural competence. I kind of shook the people a bit, as I do, make people uncomfortable. And some of the people came up to me after that workshop asking me about the concerns that they have as a leader in terms of the multicultural teams that they serve and trying to create a space of safety, of collaboration, and of understanding within those teams as well. And in that workshop, I delivered some exercises, spoke on the research as it pertained to cultural diversity within the workplace, and spoke as to not only do we need leaders who can strive for success, who can collaborate, we need an intercultural leader who has the ability to unify across differences. So I just came from the session and it was a quick fire session on intercultural leadership and why organizations need to be moving from, let's say, a more multicultural environment where people are just coexisting to an intercultural one, where people collaborate, where we can be cooperative, and where people can further engage across lines of differences. So it was really great talking to the directors and the people that engaged with the quick fire 30-minute workshop. But it was really great to kind of engage with them, mess with their heads a bit with some of the activities that we were doing, and really have them start thinking of more intercultural cultures in the workplace environment. So yeah, feeling motivated, crossing the road, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Unifying across differences is something that's not just needed in your relationships, in your friendships, etc. It's something that is needed in all walks of life, and the workplace is included. The fact that we spend a lot of time in our workplace shows that we need to be able to unify, and we need to actually develop relationships that not only solve our work problems, but is productive for our own mental health. So having leaders in the space that can bridge across those differences, that can unify when it comes to cultural, racial, ethnic, all the differences that you see in society is super important, not only for a good workplace environment, but also to achieve the outcomes that you want in that environment. Leadership who also know how to navigate within a diverse team and with people from different backgrounds, skills, understandings, abilities, etc. are necessary to move forward in any agenda. And if leaders know how to unify, bridge, and manage the diversity within their team, it not only fosters a space of inclusion, but it creates a more creative and collaborative environment in which everybody can thrive. And that is what I call intercultural leadership.
So, Mamobo, what's the secret sauce to all of this? What do I need to know? What are the skills that you need to give me? What are the ABC 1, 2, 3 things that I need to know?
Well, as a psychologist, intercultural leadership is not the quick skills, quick trips and things that you think you need in order to manage these things. Yes, there are some quick tips and skills and all those kind of things which we teach in our trainings and programs. But when it comes to intercultural leadership, it starts with knowing Who? You. Deep internal work. And I always say that it all starts with a heightened sense of self-awareness. Nothing begins without understanding who you are and yourself and having what we call intercultural competence. And if you want to understand intercultural competence, we have another video there where I go into just a brief overview of what it is, the Queen Mother Mary of intercultural competence, Darla Deardoff, and her work, and the model in which we use in our training sessions, in our programs, etc. Intercultural leadership is the art and skill of effectively navigating, managing, and influencing diverse teams, stakeholders, markets across cultures. And when I say culture, I'm not just talking about nationality. When it comes to culture, these are the norms and behaviors of any given social group. In a world where globalization has made cross-cultural interactions an everyday reality and occurrence, intercultural leadership has become a crucial competency for any successful organization. Whether that may be public, private, business, nonprofit, it is essential to have intercultural leadership if we want to actually live with the current diverse reality that we have. An intercultural leader not only can extend themselves to understand the nuances of various cultural situations, and not just nationality-wise, they also possess the ability to leverage that cultural diversity to drive innovation, to drive collaboration, and sustainable growth. This form of leadership goes beyond just tolerating differences, mindlessly aiming for diversity within their teams, but it actually fosters an inclusive environment where individuals from different cultural backgrounds, different identities, and different ways of seeing the world feel valued and respected and seen and be able to thrive within their workplace environment. An intercultural leader considers the differences within their team, not works regardless of them. Intercultural leadership requires a combination of attitudes, knowledge, and skills that allow the leaders to navigate spaces where there is uncertainty, where there's fear, where there are teams from different backgrounds not getting along, where there's miscommunication, and where there is lack of understanding among those differences. Leaders with sufficient intercultural competencies can navigate communication challenges, can manage conflicts that arise due to cultural differences, and can build strong, collaborative teams that strive in a multicultural setting. And while understanding your meeting context, your local environments is necessary, intercultural leaders have a global mindset that transcend cultural boundaries and transcend borders. And they can effortlessly connect with people from different backgrounds, different environments, and different identities. They know how to understand perspectives, fresh ones by that, and are sensitive. They have cultural humility and also respectful in different and nuanced situations. And as businesses and organizations continue to operate on a global scale, intercultural leadership has become an essential skill for driving success and creating sustainable, harmonious, inclusive work environments. And my question was last, do we have this in Ireland? Do we have intercultural competencies, leadership in organizations in Ireland? And it was something that had been on my mind. Well, we recently launched a report supported by the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission via a grant on the intercultural competence in public sector particularly. And what we found was that, particularly as it pertained to people in the organizations that we looked into, there's a lot of work when it comes to intercultural competence, and how it stems into leadership is another different story, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done in intercultural competence, and I'll be creating another video going deep into that report itself so you can understand that. But when it comes to intercultural competence in Ireland and from our study in public sector, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We are in very early stages, and it's kind of like an uphill battle in the area that we're doing right now. And that's why leadership and having intercultural leaders are necessary to move and drive this forward, not only for the sake of inclusion, but for the sake of having a space where people can thrive. And in any organization, your people are your biggest commodity. No happy people, no good organization. Boom.
Combination.
And so I always say that these skills, intercultural competence, and particularly as it pertains to leadership, it's not something that just happens out of the blue. It's something that can be learned, and it's something that can take a long time if you're doing it yourself. But again, it can be trained, it can be learned, and it can be supported and facilitated with. So that's where Gorm comes involved, and my hat as a social psychologist come involved. We support organizations and their leadership when it comes to navigating cultural diversity within the workplace, particularly as it comes to unifying across workplace differences. Yes, diversity is beautiful, it's great for a team, but diversity is just diversity alone. And when you have a diverse environment alone, that can actually bring about more conflict. I'll have another video that we can link to there. When you just have diversity alone, that can actually bring about more conflict. And it's on the onus of leadership to cultivate an environment where that diversity is working for them, where that diversity is actually creating a space that can actually thrive, and intercultural leadership is necessary to do that. So if you want to create a culture where that diversity can thrive, where people can be collaborative, they can be energetic in their work, definitely give it a shout, give us a call so we can support you on that journey.